Well, hello everyone. My name's Sapphira. I'm a burlesque artist based in London, and I'm the creator of World Burlesque Day and the Ibiza Burlesque Festival. I'm also a hugely passionate mental health ambassador, and I'm here to share that Prince Harry and I have something in common. That's right. In 2018, I was invited to write my family trauma and story, Burlesque or Bust, in the format of a memoir book. So this is the book that came out in 2018. But there's a key difference as to how I approached this book. And it's something I really want to share and emphasize as we look at what is happening with the ramifications of Prince Harry's memoir Spare. Before I illuminate, I do want to welcome you with a butterfly, because butterflies to me symbolize transformation. And this is really about transforming negative emotion into more positive and connecting emotion. So how does this relate to sharing family trauma? Well, the reason I was invited to write my book, Burlesque or Bust, is because I was raised in a strict family Christian environment. I love my parents dearly, but the church we were subscribed to was called the Brethren Sect, Christian Assembly Brethren. And their ideals about sensuality, about females in leadership, about music and media and the world were very frightening. They gave me a lot of belief about a place called hell and equated many things to being sinful. And as a young person, from as 5 years old and even younger, I would be aware there was this potential that I could go to a place called hell. And this was a church group that cut off any dancing, any listening to non-Christian music. There was a lot of suspicion about the outside world. Well, guess what? Being a flamboyant performer, even at the age of 5, this really didn't sit well with me. And I tried to be something I wasn't. And of course, it led to a lot of family disagreement. And eventually, at the age of 17, I was excommunicated by my church when they found out I wasn't living a holy Christian lifestyle. And this turned into a double life that then spiraled into a complete psychosis and being sectioned at the age of 21 for nearly 2 weeks, with the most severe psychotic breakdown and hints of schizophrenia the doctors had seen. So I escaped and came to London when I got well enough and discovered this glittering world, and I really rebirthed, naming myself Sapphira as a performer. And all of this is now detailed in the book Burlesque or Bust. But the key difference is in 2008, I did something that really radically symbolizes the butterfly. I learned about forgiveness. I went to a More to Life course. It's a program. They're a nonprofit educational charity all over the world. And I enrolled in 2 courses and I learned some techniques. I learned some techniques about forgiveness, and I learned some techniques about getting clear on my emotional state and where I might be responding to triggering events. So this is where I think Prince Harry and I differ, because I started a process of realizing I could be in control of my reaction and my understanding of relationships and influences around me. And I started to practice a method taught on the course about recognizing triggering events or activating events and the specificity of those moments in time and what they were. And this was invaluable because I started noticing when I was triggered, something would happen in my body, and that was the first signal. And then something would happen in my mind, and my thoughts would start going and talking to me. And then the people around me would often be involved in some kind of drama that was getting exaggerated in my mind. So I used a clearing process taught on this course as I wrote my book. In fact, I've used it for many years. So in 2018, 10 years later, when I was invited to write my memoir, Burlesque or Bust, I practiced everything I learned on those weekend courses and had been using for 10 years about forgiveness and getting clear So my book could come across from a place of compassion and from a place of seeking connection, because this course taught me that the strongest emotions and the strongest communications happen from a place of connection, which is above the line, and not from resentment, which is below the line. And so it's been so illuminating. It's not just transformed my family relationship, and I love my parents dearly. It's not just transformed my ability to not be carrying around a sack of resentment. It's transformed my relationships with my now husband, with employers, the way I communicate in the media, and just who I am as a person. I'm so much more free. So I wanted to share today just a few of things I do on a daily basis to be in a more clear and authoritative place within my own emotions, so that when triggering events happen, I'm reacting from a place of solid clarity, and I'm very quick to verify any lies that might get into my head, because I learned underneath triggering events, underneath resentments, is a lot of demands and expectations about myself and about the other people, how they should behave. And this creates a lot of force and a lot of angst. So I now come at situations with a lot more ownership of my part to play, and also how to get clear on what's the underlying core belief that is being triggered here. Is it that I'm a failure, I'm insignificant, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable? And, you know, I look at those and I really work on them. So I would like to quickly share my screen and show you two processes I use. And actually, if you look at page 114 of my book, you'll see the forgiveness process, because I found it so powerful that I actually wrote about it as one of the mental health solutions in my book. So I just wanted to share a process that helped me get past those negative core beliefs and has transformed the way I write and the way I just interact in all relationships. This is the forgiveness process, reproduced with permission by Mortali and Kay Bradford Brown. The steps of the forgiveness process are: 1, picture you're making eye contact with the person you want to forgive. 2, tell them all you've resented them for. 3, tell them what the payoff has been. 4, tell them what the cost has been. 5, ask for forgiveness and offer them your forgiveness. So in the case of my story, perhaps it's thinking about the particular church member that sent me a letter telling me I was excommunicated, or an example of just getting into a better alignment with my family. So I might picture a person, for example, my father, and say, "Hi, Dad, I've resented you for being so strict when I was at school, being so forceful on the religious elements of our family life. It made me feel powerless. I've resented you for being really strict around how we spent money and how we dressed as young girls, because it made me feel unvalued." And then I share what the payoff has been. Well, the payoff has been that I get to be right, Dad, get to be the one who's a bit more superior, a bit more moral. I get to be the rebel. I get to stand the moral high ground. And then I might talk about the cost. Well, the cost has been, actually, Dad, that this affects me. It affects my state of mind. When I'm in resentment, I feel horrible. The cost is to our relationship. I don't feel I communicate on a genuine, heartfelt way with you. And it's always sort of overhanging that I've got this bitterness. The cost is to the wider family dynamic, that I am constantly the one looking for faults and sparking up if there's ever any small criticism put my way, and that affects all of us. And the other cost is to relationships with any significant males, from my boss to my husband to boyfriends over the years. Wow, that's been a huge cost. So then I just say, "Dad, I ask for your forgiveness. I let go of any ill will I hold towards you. I am who I am. You are who you are. We are one. I let go of all ill will I hold, Dad, so that you and I can have a great relationship and always be forgiving and compassionate. And I just repeat that. I am who I am. You are who you are. We are one. I let go of all ill will so we can just be forgiving and compassionate. It's such a great process. So I hope you'll realize that this forgiveness process is small, but very effective. And you may choose to embrace it and adopt it in part of your day-to-day. If you found this useful, please do like and subscribe. And of course, bring more forgiveness into your world. I'm Sapphira. Thanks for watching.